Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Shawnee County Board of County Commissioners. It's September 17th, 2020. On my left is Commissioner Aaron Mays, who represents District 3, and on my right is Commissioner Kevin Cook, who represents District 2. I'm Bill Rippon, and I represent District 1. What is first?
First item is item 3, consent agenda.
I would move that we approve the consent agenda.
I second.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Rippon, second by Commissioner Mays. All in favor say aye. Those opposed, motion carries 3-0. Next item.
Item 4, new business. A, County Clerk number 1, consider all voucher payments.
Commissioners, this morning we have vouchers that total $775,406.49. The highlights out of the voucher report: the largest expenditure is Bettis Asphalt under Bridge Project. It's $404,298.39. That is for the Southeast 29th Street from the 470 KTA Bridge to Croco Road. Under the holding accounts with the state of Kansas, we have $113,764.15. And then finally, under the Elections Commissioner, we have $65,726.43, of which the majority of that is American Pre-Sort for the general election voter information card that's just been sent out, or will be sent out. And I would, having reviewed the vouchers, I have no questions, would move for approval.
Second. Motion's been made by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor say aye. Those opposed, motion carries 3-0. Next item.
Item A2, consider correction orders.
I'd move that we approve the correction orders.
Second.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Rippon, seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye. Those opposed, motion carries 3-0. Next item.
Item B, Public Health number 1, consider approval of request to fill a vacant health services team leader position in the Nurse Family Partnership Program at a cost of $70,533, including benefits, funded by the Early Childhood Block Grant and Medicaid match funds, and to fill any subsequent position which becomes vacant from filling this position.
Good morning, Commissioners. Teresa Fisher, Family Health Division Manager with the Health Department. Before you today is a request to fill a vacant team leader position in our Nurse Family Partnership Program. This position is newly vacated due to a retirement that became effective last Friday. This particular nurse left our health department after 34 years of service. So not only are we having a vacancy, but big shoes to fill also. The team leader position is responsible for the overall coordination and implementation of our evidence-based nurse family partnership program, making sure it adheres to the fidelity of the program. This team leader position is a requirement of the program, and it's listed as one of the model elements for the program. As mentioned, it is funded through our Early Childhood Block Grant and Medicaid match funds. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions?
Is this position going to be posted internally or externally?
It will be posted externally.
Okay, great. I'd move to approve.
Second.
Motion's been made by Commissioner May, seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye. Those opposed, motion carries 3-0.
Thank you.
Next item.
Item B2, consider authorization and execution of Contract C 321-2020 and addendum to Contract C 226-2017 with Enterprise Fleet Management for the lease of one 2021 Chevrolet Equinox for the staff at the J.P. Lewis Building, increasing the annual agreement by $4,326.24, and 4 2021 Toyota Priuses to be used by the Child Care Licensing Program, increasing agreement by $4,089.84 each, with funding from the 2021 departmental budget.
Good morning, Commissioners. Nancy Mitchell, Accountant 2 at the Shawnee County Health Department. And as was stated, we are requesting to lease 5 new vehicles for the Health Department. 4 of those will be Priuses to be used by the Child Care Licensing Program. They normally, not right now, but normally drive every day and visit child care sites and inspect them, make sure that they're meeting all of their requirements. And then the one Equinox is to replace a Crown Vic that is shared by all health department staff that they use for trainings or to go to and from meetings, people that don't normally need a vehicle all the time. This would allow us to have multiple staff go to like an overnight training, and we only need one vehicle to take them there that way. All of our vehicles that we're replacing have been transferred from the sheriff's office as far back as 2011. They are desperately in need of replacing, and we are no longer able to get vehicles transferred from other departments. They're all trading their vehicles in, selling them to get that value back. So we're asking to lease these vehicles. And any questions?
Just what is the intent with the existing vehicles that we have? I know that they have a minimal value at this point. Are we looking at putting those on Purple Wave, or?
We have not officially decided, but yes, we will sell them. So I know Purple Wave is the county site, what we use to do that. So probably there, and they are pretty minimal value. So.
Okay.
Any other questions?
No, I know Enterprises sometimes takes those types of things as well and gives us some kind of a trade-in for them, but I'll move to approve.
I'll second. Motion's been made by Commissioner May, second by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor, say aye. Those opposed, motion carries 3-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item.
Item C, Elections Office, number 1, consider approval of request to hire for the vacant Assistant Election Manager Election Systems position at an hourly rate of $19.92, range 13, step 4, with an expected hiring date of September 28, 2020, with funding from the departmental budget.
Morning, Commissioners. Andrew Howell, Shawnee County Election Commissioner. Asking permission to fill this position. We have found someone that we think will be very good in that position. This is one of the positions in the office that actually is, again, part of building the ballots and making sure that the machinery is ready to go for each election, as well as the election night uploading. So that's some of the tasks that that position will be doing. Happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Questions?
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Mays. All in favor, say aye. Those opposed, motion carries 3-0. Next item.
Item C2, consider approval of request to post and fill a soon-to-be vacant Office Assistant 2 Advanced Voting Clerk position at a cost of $41,470.04, including benefits, and to fill any current positions that may become vacant as a result of filling this position.
Yes, Commissioners. Again, this position has recently going to be becoming vacant, so we would like to get this position filled as quickly as possible. Again, this is a very critical position as it relates to making sure that mail ballots and mail ballot applications are processed timely. So we really need to get this one moving, but happy to answer any questions.
Questions? I'll move for approval.
Second.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Rippon, seconded by Commissioner Mays. All in favor, say aye. Those opposed, motion carries 3-0. Next item.
Item C3, consider authorization and execution of contract C322-2020 with Stericycle Shredded for shredding services at an estimated annual cost of $240 with funding from the departmental budget.
Commissioners, this is a request to, it's fairly minimal. We would just like to actually change the company that is doing our shredding. We think the billings will be easier, take less staff time, so it will be a net savings. I think that the price tag may be slightly better in the end. And we just think the amount of staff time that we're taking dealing with some of the billing questions would make it easier to go this route. So if you have any questions, I'll be happy to try to answer those.
Any questions?
No.
Move for approval.
I'll second. Motion's been made by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor, say aye. Those opposed, motion carries 3-0. Thank you, Andrew. Next item.
Item D, Sheriff's Office, number 1, consider approval of request for the emergency purchase with Motorola Solutions to purchase a VHF paging equipment for the Communications Backup Center, which will allow dispatchers to page calls of medical and fire nature to rural fire departments at a cost of $12,141 utilizing CARES Act grant monies.
Good morning, Commissioners. Melanie Berger, Shawnee County Sheriff's Office Director of Communications. This request before you is to purchase Vhf paging equipment for our communications backup center. Through our COVID response and making our continuity of operations plan, we've identified the need for Vhf paging in order to continue obviously critical services that 911 provides. This will allow us to page all rural departments for medical and fire calls. We currently don't have that capability there now. We have utilized our backup center through the COVID response to social distance and as well as the need to remove all of our dispatchers out if we need to sanitize the center if we had a positive case. The cost of this is $12,141, and it has been identified as a viable purchase through the CARES Act, and it has also been identified as a sole source because it matches our infrastructure of our radio system. Any questions?
Questions?
Mr. Chairman, please. Melanie, how exactly are we working right now with the rural fire chiefs in these 7 districts? And we're going now to the Vhf paging system, but what are we doing right now?
Well, we currently utilize Vhf paging in our main site. We just don't have the Vhf in our backup center. So when we have to go to our backup center, which we've done for short periods, we alert all of those rural departments. We let them know that that paging is going to be not available, and then they have to utilize radios. The problem with that is all of our rural departments are primarily volunteer departments, so those responders are working generally 9 to 5 jobs, and they rely on that Vhf paging to get the alert for the call. So some of them may not have their radios with them if we have to vacate that main site.
Okay. So this would really be in the case of an emergency from the main site, making sure there's continuity of services.
Yes, that's correct.
I'll move for approval.
I'll second. Motion's been made by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor, say aye. Those opposed, motion carries 3-0. Thank you, Melanie. Next item.
Item E, Emergency Management, number 1, acknowledge receipt of the resignation of John Wiley as a citizen at-large representative from the Ambulance Advisory Board and request for nominees to serve on the Ambulance Advisory Board.
Good morning, Commissioners. Aaron Mahan. I am here at the behest of the Shawnee County Ambulance Advisory Board, which I currently serve as their chair on. September 4th, we received email notification from Citizen at-Large Board Member John Willie that he is resigning his position. He has served. He was in the middle of his 3rd term currently, and the current term is set to expire on June 11th of 2023. What we would ask is that you accept the resignation of Mr. Willie and then advertise and solicit for another Citizen at-Large member to apply for membership.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
In the past, what we've done when we have resignations such as this is we would set a deadline or a notice, this acting as a public meeting, that we are accepting applications to the Ambulance Advisory Board, and then maybe setting a deadline for applications to be due either 30, 45 days from now. So I don't know what a month and a half from now looks like, probably the beginning part of November. Pull up a calendar real quick. If we look at I'm not sure when we're going to canvass, but most likely we will not be canvassing on November the 9th, which is the Monday following the election. That's too soon to canvass, so that should put us in a meeting then on November the 9th, having applications due by then.
Okay.
But I do want to thank John for his service to the Ambulance Advisory Board. He did serve 3 terms. He's been instrumental and a very good advocate, and drawing from his experience and background provides a lot of insight to the Ambulance Advisory Board.
So I will move that we acknowledge his resignation.
Second.
Second. Motion's been made by Commissioner Rippon, seconded by Commissioner Mays. All in favor, say aye. Those opposed, motion carries 3-0. And then we want
I'll
to make a
make a
motion.
motion to accept applications for the at-large position to the Ambulance Advisory Board with a deadline of November the 9th.
Okay, I'll second that. Motion's been made by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor say aye. Those opposed, motion carries 3-0. Next item.
Item E2, consider authorization and execution of contract C323-2020 with TSI Incorporated, allowing the sole source purchase of 2 port account fit testers to ensure a correct fit for the maximum protection of masks for a total cost of $35,571 to be paid by the spark monies allocated to Shawnee County.
Morning, Commissioners. Aaron May, again, Shawnee County Emergency Management. We are requesting to use CARES Fund money in order to purchase 2 additional port accounts to be assigned to Shawnee County Emergency Management. We do realize that the Health Department had 2 for their department approved. However, that would be for medical facilities, medical use, and those medical personnel that need that type of fit testing. Our units would be used in conjunction with those in order to test non-medical personnel such as Department of Corrections, law enforcement, volunteers that we may need to be using down in our facility or in other places out in the field. We're requesting the 2 same devices in order to remain consistent throughout the county with the Health Department and working in conjunction with them in order to not overtax their system as well. They would be assigned to emergency management, and we do have a person that is employed that would be assigned to manage, train, and utilize that equipment. Stand for any questions.
Is there that big a need for this many
There
units?
is. We get several requests a week for different facilities and different agencies to be fit tested in order to ensure their safety.
Yes.
Do you guys have one now? I know that, so with the health department, they had told us they already had one, but it had been deployed and they hadn't seen it in a while because it's been out being used. And so I feel like, what are we doing now?
Right now, we're working, go ahead, please.
Good morning, Commissioners. Linda Oaks from the Health Department. We have one fit testing port account machine that is shared in our region, in the Northeast region. So right now, that port account is in one of the other counties. We had it for a small time, but there's like 8 counties. So it's a lot of people we have to share it with.
But we'll have 3.
No, that one is really not available to us very often. So the 2 we're getting are the 2 that are going to be ours all the time. So,
Okay.
and there is a high need. I agree with Aaron. We're getting requests all the time from long-term care facilities, assisted living. There's a lot of people. I know the jail has a lot of people that are fit tested as they add new staff, as we add new staff. So we really need to have it available and have enough machines. And they go down sometimes too, which is the other reason it's good to have redundancy. So, thank you.
Do people have to have special training to fit people with masks using this equipment?
There's a training program that goes along with it, and that's continually updated as well.
And we're going to have a number of people that are trained, I take it?
Yes, we will have that redundancy in place.
No idea there was such a demand for this, but any other questions? Yeah.
Do we charge for the service of providing fit testing for any outside entities, or is this?
We do not.
Okay.
All right.
I'll move for approval, noting that this is for principally law enforcement, Department of Corrections, Emergency Management. I mean, these are the agencies that are going to be needing to use it. And so this is law enforcement based, and so I'll move for approval.
Okay, I'll second. Motion's been made by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor say aye. Those opposed, motion carries 3-0. Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Next item.
Item F, Parks and Recreation. Number 1, consider approval of request to award the bid for grass seed to Helena Chemical Company for the purchase of 32,250 pounds of turf-type tall fescue for a total cost of $35,281.50, of which $22,153.50 is to be paid from the Parks and Recreation operation budget, with the balance of $13,128 from the Revenue Revolving Fund for the Lake Shawnee and Cypress Ridge golf courses, and authorization and execution of contract C-324-2020 same.
Good morning, Commissioners. Jeremy Myers, Shawnee County Parks and Recreation. We're asking permission to award the bid to Helena Company, and we will use this seed to do our normal fall seeding and any seeding that we see available in our parks and in our golf course. So happy to answer any questions you may have
How soon would you take delivery on this?
as soon as possible.
Yeah, this is the season for planting grass.
We've been seeding with leftover stuff that we've had, so yeah, we've been pretty active with that the last couple weeks.
All right. Hopefully they can get it soon, tomorrow. All right. Any other questions?
No, I'll move to approve.
I'll second. Motion's been made by Commissioner Mays, seconded by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor, say aye. Those opposed, motion carries 3-0.
Thank you.
Next item.
Item F2, consider approval of request to pay two invoices, $61,714.87 to Central Mechanical Construction and $10,560 to Smith Plumbing and Kansas New Drain for the emergency purchase repairs of the Rossville Community Pool utilizing excess reserve funds.
Good morning, Commissioners. Tim Laurent, Director, Shawnee County Parks and Rec. You'll remember, excuse me, back in June of this year that we were before the Commission asking permission for emergency purchase to complete repairs to the Rossville Community Pool. During that process, we estimated that this would cost us about $55,000. We actually found 3 leaks. So the estimate our cost did go up. We're about $17,000 higher than that. It's sort of a kind of a good news, bad news situation, to be honest. One of those leaks was under the basin of the pool, but fortunately the system, that pipe was a straight shot right across the bottom of the pool, so we were able to sleeve that pipe, which saved us a lot of money. We didn't have to go in and dig up the basin. So even though we're a little bit higher, we think we were fairly fortunate to come out at the price that we did. So I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Are we good to go for next season then?
I believe we are. I mean, it's held this year, and so knock on wood, things are going well there.
So this is the last of the expenses for the Rossville pool for the year then?
To my knowledge, yes. This takes
Okay.
care of it.
Do we feel confident that there won't be any more leaks? I mean, did we replace enough of the system that it's a little bit better set up now?
Oh, yeah.
Or?
Yeah, I can't say what might happen over the winter, but I will tell you, we have examined every square inch of that pool. I mean, it was an exhaustive effort to locate the 3 leaks that we found, so a lot of concrete had to be dug up and scoping and whatnot. So I feel pretty confident that we have addressed all of the current issues. Now, who knows what'll happen next year, but I feel good about where we are.
Now, one of the problems that we had heard about before was it was difficult to access some of the pipes. And were repairs made or modifications to make that easier in the future?
Yes, so as part of the repairs, we put a pit in that we're able to go down and access those pipes that we couldn't in the past.
Okay, great. Thank you. I'll move to approve.
Second.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Mays, seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor, say aye. Those opposed, motion carries 3-0. Thank you. Tim, next item.
Item F3, consider authorization and execution of contract C-325-2020, amendment to contract C-281-2019 with Traxxas GPS Solutions, Inc. to install GPS tracking devices on 40 Parks and Rec vehicles and equipment for an initial cost of $3,480 for the equipment implementation and a monthly charge of $720 for services, which is $18 per unit, with funding from the operational budget.
Good morning, Brent Holsether, Fleet Services Supervisor for Parks and Rec. We've used a few GPS units, kind of moved them around the fleet, and had some pretty good luck. Found some benefits with them, and we've also run into a situation where over the last several years we've had some of the utility carts stolen. I think they're fairly easy to get rid of for the thieves, so we're trying to negate some of that, maybe be able to find them if somebody gets a hold of one. And then also there's some safety issues. We've got staff that's kind of in the back all over the county, alone in some cases on these carts, and something goes wrong, it sure would help locating them. So working with solid waste, we found that they have had pretty good luck with the contract they've got with Traxxas, and would like to utilize that contract.
How do they track them? Is it used off the key of a mic, or what?
There's a little unit that gets hardwired into each piece of equipment, and then whenever that unit moves, whenever there's a change, okay, it sends a signal, and kind of works like your phone, other than it's not constantly broadcasting.
Okay.
That's one of the reasons why it's considerably cheaper than like the solid waste. They have to be able to know where their trucks are all the time on the routes, things of that nature. Ours would just broadcast when it's when there's a change in movement.
How does that benefit us to know that when a vehicle's moving? I mean, what's the...
Well, so for instance, if some systems broadcast every 30 seconds or every minute, every 2 minutes, depending on the plan you have. And so like with, I believe with solid waste, they want to be able to know what's been picked up, so that if somebody has a call and says, hey, how come my trash hasn't been picked up, they can tell them right where each one of the trash trucks are. And if somebody needs to get over someplace else to take care of that problem, they could. Ours, it's not as important that we know where they are every second, but we want to have a breadcrumb trail where we can know where they've been as they're traveling.
Are there batteries in these?
These are actually run off the vehicle's battery.
Oh, okay.
There are some available that are like that, but not that we would need.
And we're gonna have this on 40 different vehicles?
With about 20 vehicles and about 20 pieces of equipment. Those are the ones that we've identified that we think that it would be the most beneficial for. We've got about 112 vehicles, but not necessarily all of them would need these.
I just want to add, and I think Brent kind of alluded to it, but I want to add that if, we've had several of these pieces of equipment stolen, and if we were able to recover one of them, we would more than cover the cost of this on an annual basis anyway. So that's really what helped convince me anyway that this was a solid move.
So this will go on, sorry if I may,
Yeah.
this will go on some of the high theft items, trailers, lawnmowers, that kind of thing? Or?
Well, primarily the utility carts, so like the little orange Kubota carts and some of the other ones we have. I mean, they're about a $15,000 unit, and they've been stolen. I mean, people have broken into some of our garages and stuff and stole them out of there. And one of them was recovered in Maryland. So, but that was in like 2014 or something like that. But not only have we had some stolen. We've had others that they've tried to steal and weren't successful. So it's something that has become more of an issue.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
I'll move to approve.
I'll second that. Motion's been made by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor, say aye. Those opposed, motion carries 3-0. Thank you, Brent. Next item.
Item G, Administrative Services. Number 1, consider the recommendations of the Shawnee County Spark Committee, along with the guidance from Witt O'Brien's LLC to allocate $5,514,572 of the county's CRF coronavirus relief funds to community-based programs.
Good morning, Betty Greiner, Director of Administrative Services, but this morning I'm here as a member of the Shawnee County Spark Committee. I would like to present the recommendations for the community-based programs for the Shawnee County Spark Committee. I'd like to start by thanking and introducing the committee members on our Shawnee County Spark Committee, and I would like to invite them to stand. Commissioner Rippon is on the committee, Treasurer Larry Maw, County Clerk Cindy Beck.
They're supposed to stand. Commissioner Rippon. That was the agreement at the meeting, that we would stand.
We know who's been running the committee.
Sorry. County Councilor Jim Crowell, and I'd also like to mention Joni Theoni, the Donnie. Is that right? Yes. In his office also helped a lot with the legal documents. The Director of the Department of Corrections, Brian Cole. From the Health Department, Edith Gaines. Interim Director of Emergency Management, Aaron Mahan. The IT Director, Pat Oblander, and Shane Plemons stepped in when Pat was not able to be there, and then me. And I would also like to acknowledge from the Audit Finance Department, Andrea Forbes and Jennifer Sauer. Although they are not members of the committee, they have really been working and administering all of this. So thank you all. Just so the public knows, we have had a lot of hours of meetings. We've had 2 meetings a week since the committee was created in on June 18th. And some of those meetings have been very long ones, as were necessary. The committee members also have had many hours reading, reviewing, and rating the applications. So I want to thank them for all their hard work. As you all know, the coronavirus relief funds was part of the CARES Act that was allocated to the counties. We received that money on July 20th. And then on August 13th, the Spark Committee recommended and the Board of County Commissioners approved 15% of the county allocation to go for community-based programs. That amount was $5,514,572. We began accepting applications for that money on August the 26th. The committee thoroughly reviewed each application that was received through September 8th for this round of awards. Where there were questions, we went back to the applicants to seek additional information, including information to make sure that it was eligible for CARES Act money. The private school applications were separated out, and on those, our recommendation is to use the same formula that we used for the public schools. That was $200 per student plus $66 per each student that qualified for free and reduced lunch. Then for the nonprofit applications, each committee member independently rated each application on a scale of 0 to 5 on each of 6 criteria that was determined by the committee. Here are the criteria that was established. Number 1, if it was a critical need. Number 2, if it was unmet need. And number 3, the impact to the community, and by that we mean like the dollar value per household impacted. Number 4, meets timely requirements, as this all has to be spent by December 30 of 2020. Number 5, other funding received Some of the organizations, like especially, schools and some of the nonprofits had already received other CARES Act money, and so we took that into consideration. And number 6, leveraging existing resources and not duplicating efforts. So those were the criteria that each individual member used to rate each application. We then looked at the application and made adjustments to the requested amounts if we found items that didn't fit the eligibility requirements. Say there was not a COVID nexus or time constraints didn't allow the money to be used. Then we also made adjustments for the committee's priorities that they had set for this money. You have received a list of the awards that we are recommending, and we are submitting that to you for your approval. The recommendation includes an award to Greater Topeka Partnership for a business continuity aid program. The committee recommends that all businesses that applied, and there were only a handful, that they be directed to make their application to the Greater Topeka Partnership through this grant program. If it's awarded, GTP will have someone here at the August 28th meeting to explain that program and to explain it to the public.
September.
So the recommended awards total $5,054,738. That leaves $459,834 left of this money. So the $5,048,000 is what we're recommending for this first round of awards. The committee also recommends that we set a deadline to submit all applications for Friday, September 25th. We are recommending that deadline for many reasons, but primarily 2 reasons. One, the amount of the money left to allocate if this award is approved is a relatively small amount compared to the applications that we've already received since that date. And then the second one is the time left to spend this money. As of today, there are 104 days left to spend this money. So by the time we would get this next cutoff, be able to go through the review process, they would have less than 90 days to spend this money. So we think it's prudent for us to have that deadline. As with all of the taxing authorities that you approved before, all the subrecipients would need to sign a subrecipient agreement that the county counselor's office has created. And that agreement states that organization is responsible for the eligibility of the reimbursed cost and will refund any that are later found to be ineligible. If approved, each organization will be contacted by Audit Finance about the details of their award and the reporting requirements. Be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
I'd like to first take a moment and thank the members of the committee. I know there was a lot of hard work that went into this and a lot of hours. And Mr. Chairman, thank you for serving on that committee and your time and effort that's went into this. I also want to recognize Curtis Sneeden. I know he's at the back. He was not a member of the group, but served in a advisory type capacity, and then was not a voter, as it would potentially be a conflict given that Greater Topeka Partnership had made an application. But I do want to recognize the work that he's put into this as well. Betty, can you talk to us just a moment about Whit O'Brien and what role they played in the Sparks, this money?
Well, they really, they started from the very beginning. They really helped us to come up with a strategy of how to approach the money. You know, as you know, the total amount that the Shawnee County received was $36.7 million. And they started out from helping us from the very beginning of a strategy of how to allocate that money to different sources. And then through that process, they helped us also to really understand and apply the eligibility requirements for this money. Then once we had established and you had approved the 15% of that money to go to community-based programs, then again, they helped us through the process of how do we receive applications, how do we look at those applications. They helped in looking at the applications also to point out anything that they did not believe would be eligible under the CARES Act requirements. So that helped us to then go back and clarify information with the applicants. They helped us to come up with a strategy on how to award this money also.
My understanding is the eligibility requirements are somewhat onerous and that you have to make sure that you fit within those specific qualifications.
That's correct.
And then if there was an expenditure made that doesn't meet those qualifications, there is an audit process or potentially an audit process where it would have to be paid back?
The Office of the Inspector General would be responsible for auditing this money on a federal level. They would come to the state and begin the audit process with the state, but since we are a subrecipient of the state, then they also could come and audit our records and all of the administration also that we have done on that. So and this audit can be up to 5 years, and what I've been told in these types of situations that it's very common for it to be 3 to 5 years out before they actually come and audit this. So we are trying to, and that's one thing that Whit O'Brien's has really helped with too, is establishing all the documentation now so that we have all that documentation to clearly define these are eligible costs. So when that happens, and we cannot remember everything that happened, that we will have that documentation for that.
When we have these awards, are the entities just granted a check and they can go do with it as they please, or do they have to submit receipts for reimbursement?
And that can be done differently by county, but what we are doing at Shawnee County, we are only reimbursing expenses. So we are only sending money after it has been spent, and they can send us the documentation on how it was spent. So we can at least review that. We may not review everything in detail, but we can, kind of review that. So we are only reimbursing. We are only sending out money based on reimbursements.
And is that to make sure that we meet those eligibility requirements and everything is?
To meet the requirements also, but also to make sure that we have the documentation we need. It's much easier to get the documentation if you're required to provide that before you get the money. It's sometimes more difficult to get the documentation if you've already given them the money.
Right. Okay. And this all has to be spent before the end of the year?
December 30.
I would like to thank the committee too. I don't think they could have done a better job of being fair and equitable and setting up the criteria, the grading of all the applicants, and it was an amazing process that had to be done in a very short time period, and it was a lot of extra work on people's plates that are already busy with other, with just regular everyday work, and to have this thrown on their plate. And we're meeting twice a week, and it was quite a commitment, and really want to thank everybody who worked on that. Like I say, I think we did a very good job being fair and equitable to everybody, all the applicants. So I'd like to thank you again. Thank you, Betty, for leading this up. So, anyway, so I guess we need a motion on this.
Is that your motion, Mr. Chairman?
That is my motion to approve.
Second.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Rippon, seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye. Those opposed, motion carries 3-0. Next item. Thank you, Betty.
Item H, Commission Number 1, acknowledge that Commissioner Cook is appointing Jack Greening to the Shawnee County Planning Commission.
This is a position for the Planning Commission that has been open, and Mr. Greening is a resident of North Shawnee County. He works for the Kansas Department of Transportation, but he also is an entrepreneur and has a white-tailed deer farm in North Shawnee County. And so he has a background from those different venues, and so I think that he will add a different flavor for the Planning Commission and would move for his approval.
Second.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Mays. All in favor say aye. Those opposed, Motion carries 3-0. A white-tailed deer farm.
Yes, you should go visit. He'd be happy to give you a tour.
I will. Next item.
Item 5, Administrative Communications.
At this time, allow anyone from the public to speak on any subject or any of our different departments that would like to make announcements. I see Aaron.
Morning, Commissioners. Aaron Mahan again, Shawnee County Emergency Management. Several weeks ago, I came to Administrative Communications and mentioned we were working with the Kansas Division of Emergency Management on the flooding event that occurred in Topeka and Shawnee County on July 29th and 30th. It was fairly devastating to a lot of homes, a lot of businesses, and we have put out information in working in coordination in conjunction with KDM in reference to start collecting information on all of those damages in order to potentially apply for small business loans in order to help some people out that may not have been able to be covered by insurance or fully covered by insurance. That deadline has been extended, and we will be putting out more information today on a phone line that's been established for people to leave either messages at, and there's also an email at KDM that they can email directly with questions or with additional information if they have anything else.
Aaron, are vehicles eligible for this as well? I know that a lot of people lost vehicles in those floods.
No, sir, this is strictly property that's within a house and the structure itself.
Okay, great, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Commissioner Mays?
Nothing from me.
Nothing to report. Mr. Cook?
Nothing today.
I don't have anything either, so. We have no need for an executive session today. I do want to mention that we are going to have a Shawnee County Board of Health meeting at 10 o'clock. So we'll be reconvening here in just a few minutes. Other than that, we're adjourned. All right.